Thought I'd make a quick video of this sewer pump system that I put together, connecting a travel trailer to, in this case, a septic system, which a lot of people, they might just be connecting it to their city sewer, but in this case it was the septic, and I did not see much online that really gave a good overview of this, so hopefully this will answer some questions, because when I looked up the question about it, a lot of people were trying to figure it out. But going from that travel trailer, obviously, all the way up this hill, and then it actually goes downhill a little bit, and the septic tank holding is right over that way. And we've got about a total of 200 feet. About 120 feet of it is coming uphill, and to the corner right there is the high point. And then at that point I was actually able to go to a little larger pipe and bring it downhill just using gravity. And part of the reason I'm doing that too is because we're going to be adding, in this case, an extra bathroom, so needed that anyway. But the point of this discussion will be how to make this really cool system work, and some other considerations that I figured out along the way that I think would probably help out some other people. But it starts back over here, of course, and it's the Liberty Pro system. I think it's 41 gallons, yeah, Pro 380. And you can see it connects straight in to the to your main dump port there. Handle's open at this point, and of course you do want to use a collar that if you ever did want to move it or have to access it, the screw-on type. I think they call them no hub style. And so it just goes straight into this tank, and it's got a float in there. And at the point it gets, I think it's like a third full or so, kicks on the macerator, which is essentially just a glorified garbage disposal. I believe it's half horsepower in this case. Starts chewing it up, and then the pump takes it and pushes it out of there. And I think it runs for 30 seconds or so after the float drops back down. But you also do have to have a vent line. Now I'm going to do actually one of those pressure sensing vents that's only like 4 or 5 inches tall, but I've got this temporarily set up just to vent the gases, which you could do it like this. Just be sure and put, again, one of the collars, because if you ever do have to take this whole lid off, you don't want to have to be disassembling this whole thing. But be redoing the wires, getting it all nice and clean. I do have this a little bit above grade, just because we're kind of in an area that it doesn't matter. And I figured any extra inch I could get was, 1 more inch I didn't have to pump uphill. But just comes out of there, and in this case, got a check valve to keep anything, from flowing back, because we are going uphill. And we'll point out here later that you could probably put another 1 or 2 of these in line, which I'll do if I have anything to where it kind of sets up and feels like it doesn't want to pump. But so far so good. But check valve, of course, keeps it from returning to the tank from the pressure going uphill. And starts out, this one actually goes downhill just a little bit, the first 20 or 30 feet, and then at this point it's pretty much a straight shot uphill, about 80, 90 feet or so. And all 2-inch line. I did check with Liberty on that for the length of the run I was doing, and they said to stay with the 2-inch line. If you're uncertain, call them, and they can tell you whether to bring down the diameter, whether to increase it, that kind of thing. But they were real sure, and sure enough they were right. But going uphill, I got to put a couple clean outs, because this is the longest run here. Didn't want to have to clean out from the origin point or up here. So a couple clean outs to make life easier if we ever do get a backup. The other thing I was going to say is this is kind of a side note, anything else that you can think of you want to run since you're trenching, I'd go ahead and do it. So, obviously I've got the water lines. I got the, going to the water line in this case, from the pump house directly to the trailer so that we can get rid of the water hose. And also, too, just use some of this inexpensive well pipe, and goes all the way up to the house, and then all the way underneath the travel trailer, just as a future sleeve. Won't have any kind of bends or anything. And in fact, we've already got some, I believe it's Cat 5 wire, so that it would have cable TV. And electrical is actually, it's a separate one. It's coming from that meter out there. But had it come from the house, I would have used the same trench. Now, I'm out here in the country, so the codes aren't quite as strict. You'll want to check yours. Very often sewer and electrical is 18, 24 inches. But in our case, I probably could have put it on top of the ground, but I wanted to do it as close to right as possible. So coming all the way uphill, and right at this point right here, you can see I've come real close to the surface, and then I actually put a drop in it, and then it catches into the 3-inch pipe, in my case, that starts just continually going downhill. And although this is a different setup than probably the average person would be doing, since we are adding a sewer line for a bathroom, it does open up the idea that, if you were going, let's use this for instance, if you were going, say, from this travel trailer and you were going uphill, but then you actually at that point started going downhill, you could use gravity to your advantage. I mean, obviously it helps anyway, but you run your 2-inch pipe, which is your pressurized line. But then once you get to where you can, use the gravity, I think it was 1 inch per 8 feet drop is the minimum. I did 1 for 4, but go to a larger pipe and then just let gravity do its thing, which obviously you're going to have the aid of the pump running. So it seemed to me like it'd be a little less strained to keep it like that anyway. But so comes, catches into this main line, and then at this point we're just going downhill. As you probably know, you got to do all the soft bends, the actual plumbing style bends, not your standard PVC. And diving down here, last turn, this is where it just happens to connect into this bathroom here. And so connected it, and goes into the septic system. And say I added some water faucets while I was at it. Just a good time to do anything you think you might need, because trenchers are not fun. And the other thing too I'd suggest if you do it is, you're going to be, of course, shimming everything up, trying to get your exact grade. If you are in a situation to where you do get to use a fall like this, you're going to be shimming it up with rocks and so forth. So my point was that, before you bury everything, run it for a few days. Make sure it's all working right. Flush it, add extra toilet paper, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure it's doing exactly what it should do. But in this case, it has really been good. And funny thing is, when it kicks in, you can actually hear it move. So if you kind of jog along with it, with it open, you can kind of hear the water run down through here and exactly what it's doing. And with the caps off, you can see how it's working. So there's that little bit of advice there. But that was it. I mean, it's a big job, but as long as you kind of figure for what you need. I mean, they do have a bigger system. I think it's like a 3/4 horsepower, and probably even have one bigger than that. But in this case, I mean, in talking with the people at Liberty, half horsepower is doing all this, and I mean it's doing it very, very efficiently, and it's a lot nicer setup than what they typically want you to do, which is, if you've checked into this, it's the nuttiest thing. They want you to run it through the macerator and then through a garden hose, and then you can actually empty it into, say, your sewer clean out or directly into your septic system. And I'm thinking, who in the world wants to be out there with their garden hose spewing out that nature of mess into their drain lines? But this one is about like standard plumbing at this point, and hope to have years of good work out of it.